Hi, yeah, good to see you again. Here's assignment 8, my position to outsourcing and whistleblowing. Basically, my view on outsourcing is not such a good thing without doing very much resource. Outsourcing is a very complex issue. There are, yes, pros and cons to outsourcing jobs outside the United States. However, I believe in the long run, especially, it's not a very good thing for the United States. Yes, there are certain jobs that are outsourced that carry more benefit to the company in the United States, but it seems like a very large majority of the outsourced jobs are low paying, low skilled jobs. That does, yes, increase the company's bottom line, but does little and probably damages the U.S. economy. Further, there are a whole suite of ethical issues associated with outsourcing jobs, especially low paying jobs, and it seems like U.S. businesses are taking advantage of other countries for larger profits. In the most fundamental sense, it's very profitable for U.S. companies to outsource labor, especially manufactured goods, where the countries that have lower standard of living will take lower wages, and they often work harder, longer hours, and the product is basically the same, or the service. This allows the company to profit much more than if hiring in the United States, and gives lower income countries work that they might find difficult to obtain. However, personally, I don't think it's necessarily a good thing for the U.S. economy. It takes away jobs, for one, from American people, where most of the jobs employ middle class Americans that make up the backbone of America, and this causes other problems in a variety of ways where they have to take either lower paying jobs or unemployed. Then that causes them to spend less money back into the economy, causes decreased consumer confidence, and then this causes other problems too, where they'll make poor choices and causes even bigger problems. So that's my position: is that it's not such a good thing, and it decreases the economy, and but however somewhat reasonable in respect to international issues. Companies have been outsourcing IT jobs for some time, especially in respect to IT and software development and coding and cloud management. This is very popular and very increasing, especially now. Not only do they pay overseas employees less, the argument is that it frees up time for the companies to focus on more important issues like developing innovation. However, it seems like there are a lot of safety and performance issues, especially with outsourcing IT jobs or even advanced IT jobs that need to be addressed. It's a huge market. Outsourcing is $1 billion a year international market. It's expected that between 2021 and 2026, the global market for IT outsourcing alone expected to increase dramatically from $318 billion to $425 billion by the end of 2026. So, but however, this outsourcing abolishes a lot of the connections between the company and employee. May not be good for company culture and other social responsibility actions that companies should be aware of. So the top outsourcing destinations for the U.S. There's other ones. India is very popular for software development. You have Argentina, Ukraine, Poland, other parts of Europe, and also Southeast Asia is very popular for outsourcing jobs. The attractiveness again is that basically outsourcing allows U.S. companies to pay overseas workers much less, and this causes a company to profit. For instance, in India, one of the most attractive places for IT jobs, they can pay a very skilled trained software developer $20 an hour instead of $70 to $150 an hour, where they can also hire fully formed teams that speak very good English. China and other countries Southeast Asia are also very attractive. The Philippines has recently emerged as attractive destination for call center jobs where the cost of living is lower. For example, they can pay a typical call center job $3 an hour, where in the United States they'll have to pay that an individual employee $10 to $14 an hour. So, three most important fiduciary obligations that a company has to address when outsourcing job is an industry experience and compatibility with the company's bottom line and overall goal, and how the company gauges how well the outsourcing aligns with the business partners, stakeholders, and vendors. Also, does it make good financial sense to outsource the jobs that's in line with the company's broader goals, and are the talents and the skills of the potential employees sufficient to be in line with the company standards of the product or service that the company sets, and is this compatible with the stakeholders. So there's issues that that companies should be aware of, and a lot of this boils down to better decision making processes. So how does it affect the U.S. economy? Again, I think it's a bad thing. It's a huge business. The biggest problem the United States economy and citizens has to face is that companies over time will basically hand foreign countries their international stronghold for that particular industry. Basically, what happens after some time, people and groups and people in that company will gain enough experience that they can actually make the product or provide the service better themselves, and they have they can get better at engineering and overall architecture of the product, and where they don't need the U.S. anymore, and they basically take over the market. This ends up making the forest supplier a competitor now, because they can make the same product for much cheaper and sell it for much cheaper and outcompete the United States. So, and then the United States loses their stronghold in the international market for that product. Further, it's damaging to the American worker because it causes a lot of time and issues where good low mid-tier jobs are being taken away and they're not available domestically, and leads to a certain American workforce demographic that's to take even lower paying jobs where now the worker has less income and lower standard of living, where basically the poor gets poorer, the rich gets richer, and the income quality gap gets wider, which is not good for the economy. So ethical, patriotic, moral obligations. My take is somewhat ambiguous, even though I'd rather keep IT jobs and other jobs in the United States for patriotic reasons. One overseas work raises a lot of major issues with quality and security, safe working conditions. Basically, that would not be legal in the United States, and that leads, of course, to other ethical and moral issues. However, it seems like that other countries have their own guidelines, and there's no standardized guideline for this. So, in respect to ethical and moral responsibility, there are clear problems associated with outsourcing. IT over jobs, not necessarily software development, forces companies to lay off workers in the United States, where upper management does this sort of immorally, or is thought to be immorally, and it's probably, again, not best strategy for the company in the long term. And these companies will lose their competitiveness in the overseas market, and where there's massive turnover and other issues. One way to make the offshoring issue morally, ethically sound is basically to hold management to complete transparency, so that when they make these layoff decisions or outsourcing decisions, they're more cautious. So here's an example of how this is being studied in currently, is the use of algorithms to optimize or to see the best way to optimize company profits in taking into account other attributes such as social responsibility in a fluctuating market. So basically, in this work, they propose an evolutionary algorithm that takes into account a company's long-term sustainable economic goals and provides a way to have a better decision-making process when they encounter issues. They found this solution to be NP hard, and basically it can translate to this topic in that it's an adaptable algorithm that adjusts in providing an optimal solution in a very complex, multidimensional, fluctuating problems that are similar to problems of outsourcing, where important key decisions need to be made that carry a lot of weight, and to see if it's further aligned with a company's fiduciary and social responsibilities. And this may allow for a better balance between company profits and in respect to outsourcing decisions, even if they indirectly affect the lower paying employees of the company or other individuals of the foreign country or the United States. So basically, the skeleton algorithm, this evolutionary algorithm that's below, you basically have several fundamental properties. There's a classic loop that harvests the three different algorithms, and these are the three algorithms that they employed in paper, sort of as choices for an optimal solution. And those are, you can see those in lines 5 and 7, where you can apply a certain value to the operator, and then it decides whether it meets some sort of criteria. If it doesn't, it moves to the next line, and there's a different criteria that has to be met, where finally the averages are pulled together to see the optimal solution. You can see here in line 9, this replacement strategy takes into account set theory, where it constantly updates the choices based on individual data points that come in. And this is synonymous with a fluctuating market, where different decisions have to be made based on different fluctuating parameters. So this approach is very important because it can adapt to different data, where the algorithm is chosen and used and it reflects the best choice based on different inputs. And again, this is based on evolutionary theory or genetic algorithms, where you apply some type of operator to the updated data, where you have here, for instance, reproductive recombination mutation operators that have been taken from this other type of genetic algorithm based on something called genetics library. In this second algorithm, that's part of the whole process. You see the selection can take place, and it's based on a principle derived on biology, where you have different individual parameters. Right here you have genes and the larger chromosomes that are composed of the individual genes, where you can assess the value of a single data point or a single gene. So the first part is where the data is filled and the population is initialized, and then the fitness function of the individual populations for the individual can be assessed, and as individual data comes in, it's either picked or discarded and moves on to the next step. This algorithm runs until some kind of predefined criteria is met in the selection loop, and individual selected, and that passes on the criteria and moves to the next generation, where also you have the identity of the parents. That also is important for this replacement strategy. This is very crucial because it's based on genetic operators like the mutations that accumulate over time, and larger recombination events, or holistically other attributes are taken into account, and it mimics natural processes. So you can see here you have different parameters, and based on 2 criteria, individual fitness can be assessed and selected or discarded. So again, this notion is important because it determines the optimal return on investment, and takes into account individuals that are synonymous maybe with employees in some respect. So holistically following the third algorithm can be applied, and updates the set of best solutions in a way that the current best solution from the set is compared to the actual individual data point in a real-time basis from the current generation. So if the individual from the current base population is better than the best solution from the set, then that individual is sort of said to be chosen and passes on to the next generation. This is critical because they have developed an algorithm that updates continuously, comparing new individual data points against previous means of the data points in the set, where the best data points are used to update the set, resulting in a way to have the best solution. Then there's a constant influx of new individuals. Here's the overall scheme. You have some type of financial data, and you can see here sustainable development is incorporating. That can be some social responsibility, where you have data that's coming into the algorithm scheme. The data is being processed in such a way where it then encounters 3 different nodes that are algorithms, and the output then takes into account the variance and makes a decision to the best algorithm to be used for sustainable development or other issues, and gives the company better decision-making capabilities. Whistleblowing to me is very well worth it. It causes more good than harm to me, depending on the severity of the situation and the individuals involved. For instance, if the individuals are in upper management, more superior, it may be problematic. You could lose your job, and this could cause mistrust in the company, but it may be more difficult to prove too. And whether the severity of the wrongdoing is severe or less is probably more important in this situation. On the other hand, if you report wrongdoings of some less superior employees that are being paid less, it might be a good thing and much easier to prove. And this would expose something that is causing harm to the company, even less severe misconduct, which may pose a threat to the company and to your job. In this case, management may see this act of loyalty to the company. Again, whistleblowing is a good thing for the company. For instance, you can expose an employee that is stealing sensitive information, and I believe that is very well, and it's something employees should morally do. Ultimately, whether or not whistleblowing is worth it or not is dependent on personal perspective. Most people would think that it's the right thing to do, even if they do not report it, and even if reported, probably sees it as ethical. Also, whether the consequences of whistleblowing result in better corporate culture is ambiguous and probably contingent upon numerous reasons. My stance is whistleblowing is indeed it's a good thing. It helps preserve the character of the company because the performance and ethics of the employee that make up the company are probably the strongest aspects that lead to a successful company. Further, if certain malpractices are not reported, then both the misdoing may very well reoccur and can negatively affect the employee. And the company should know about this, and certainly it would help the company. Me, if I were personally a mid-tier employee in a very large software company, I found a fellow software engineer that used copyrighted code in the code that the project we're working on. I would probably have to let someone know because since I'm a part of the team and the company is responsible for the product, the process of developing novel code makes some novel software where the company brands it and sells it. If we don't use the right kind of code and it's found out that it's stolen, even if it's masked, and there's a chance that it's not found out, this code may somehow be found out and the company could encounter a lawsuit and damage the company. And in this situation, people could lose their jobs. So I would probably just report it because even if the chances are slim that it's found out and a lawsuit is taken out, it still probably needs to be reported because there is the chance. Further, I would probably let someone know very sooner or later, especially in respect to how far along we are in the project and how long the project takes to finish, because the functionality of the code and the value of the project needs to be taken into respect. Thus, whistleblowing will probably not damage one's career, and transparency and truthfulness will definitely lead to a healthier corporate culture. How does whistleblowing policies compare to other countries? The United States have very strict whistleblowing policies. They vary across the world, but the scope and the protection can differ widely. In respect to protection of both public and private sectors, laws in some countries like India protect only public employees, while countries like Japan and South Korea have both public and private employees that are protected. Further, some countries have more stringent definitions who qualifies as a public or private sector whistleblower. Some countries only allow government employees to qualify as public sector whistleblowers, while countries like Mexico, Portugal, and Norway have policies that include former employees, suppliers, and are broader. But in general, it seems like the United States has less stringent whistleblower policies in respect to public and private sector, and offers more protection to whistleblowers, and has been the model for some other countries. Whistleblowing has recently reenacted in 59 different countries. So you can see in the diagram that the United States and other countries in dark green have dedicated whistleblower policies. So in summary, I believe that outsourcing is a very complex process. It's not good for the American individual or the company or the economy in the long run, and companies seem to be doing this outside of their own best interests. Whistleblowing to me is necessary, and the consequences of reporting the misdoings on the employee and corporate culture depends probably on the specifics of the incident. Finally, new ways to assess the actual profit and bottom lines of companies in the context of decision making includes machine learning algorithms and adaptive learning or adaptive algorithms. And following the umbrella term deep learning, these approaches may prove to be very useful in determining consequences of important decisions that have broader implications and social responsibility. Thank you.